We're awash in social media. My guest, Peter Montoya, talks about the good, the bad, and the just plain ugly. This is your host, Dr. David D. Shine, and welcome to this special episode of Saving America. Hey, question number 3. Tell our audience about the Second Civil War, A Citizen's Guide to Healing Our Fractured Nation. I know that's your newer book.
As far as I know, it's the first political self-help book. So it is about the context of politics more than the content of politics. I'm not making an argument in favor of any party or any policy. All I'm basically saying is that we actually are not as divided as we think we are. We're actually being exploited. We're being exploited by cable news, social media, political parties. We are being exploited by them for their game at our expense. So the book walks a person through to show why we actually should be much more hopeful about the state of our country. I hear a lot of people say, I'm just so worried about our country. It's going to be falling apart. And there's good reason to think that. However, it's not as bad as they think it is. Second message is politics is very important. I really believe in an informed citizenry, but it doesn't matter as much as some people think it does. For many people, politics has become a religion, and it is exhausting being around those people. All they can do is watch cable news, listen to the radio, and rant and rave about politics. And it has become their glasses, their lens they see the world in. And politics are important. It's really important that you're informed, but it's not as important that you have to be shunning and shaming friends and family and obsessing about it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The president, believe it or not, does not have as much power as one thinks it does. And you should vote. I'm not saying you shouldn't, but I show chart after chart after chart that show that unemployment, inflation, gas prices, debt, and GDP has basically no correlation, let alone causation, to political party. And you look at the graphs over time, you go, oh my God, there's no correlation. And I present those in the book so people understand that we're being manipulated into thinking that every single presidential election is for the soul of the country. And it's not. And the last message of the book is we've got so much to hope for. I mean, there's just so much that binds us together. I'm really an optimist for our country. I really don't think that we're going to devolve into two militaries on the battlefield fighting it out, or I don't think that's going to happen. Yes, we will continue to see gun violence, acts of terrorist acts. They're horrible, awful. There's about 100 or 150 of them a year. Terrible, awful things. Violence is a terrible thing for democracy, awful thing for democracy. It must stop. But I'm not as concerned about it evolving into like Northern Ireland in the late 1980s. That's just not going to happen here.
Yeah, well, I certainly hope that you and I are on the same path. And of course, both of my books have somewhat negative titles, Decline of America, 100 Years of Leadership Failures. And some schools like the book, but they didn't adopt the book because they said it gives a negative message to our students. And I said, you need to read the book because it's an optimistic book, because I do think America has the potential to have an even greater future ahead of us. But we sure need to do some work in the near term to make that vision happen. Peter,
no question. Can I talk to that for a second? Do we have a minute?
Sure, absolutely.
All right.
Go for it.
So I completely agree that democracies are really, really messy.
Yeah.
And they have good days and they have really, really bad days. But if you look at America, what America has done in the last 70 years, it's absolutely amazing. We used to have world wars or European-wide conflicts every 35 years. The amount of violence globally has plummeted over the last 70 years. The amount of conflicts and wars has plummeted over the last 70 years. We have international treaties and coalitions like the UN and NATO that have made it the most peaceful time. Since the 1980s, the number of people in poverty living with $2 left per day has, I think, cut in half. We look at all the innovation. I mean, my life is so much different even between now and 2007. happened. I mean, 2007 was just 14, 15 years ago, and my life is radically different from what technology. So Americans are the most optimistic people. We really believe that tomorrow will be better than it is today. And we have the best managers, the best leaders, the best management and leadership schools on the planet. Everyone envies us and wants to come to our country to learn how to lead, manage, and cooperate. We are absolutely an amazing country. We do incredible things. We've changed the world by basically taking science and technology and monetizing it with business. So we're just really an amazing people. We are so giving, so loving, and we help so many places in the world. We have revolutionized and changed the world. And I really believe our best days are ahead of us.
Well, that's a fantastic message, Peter. And again, Peter Montoya, it's so good to have you on our program today. Tell our audience how they can get more information about you and your work.
Absolutely. You can find me easily enough at petermontoya.com, petermontoya.com. I'm an entrepreneur with Earth. You can pick up my book, The Second Civil War, and you can also book me as a corporate speaker. I've got a bit of a Forrest Gumpian like past.
Sounds like a great winner. This is Dr. David D. Shine for Saving America. If you've enjoyed this episode, please subscribe on your favorite platform.